Live and YouTube Live Q&A. So anyone who's coming in for the first time, stumbled across this or whatever it is, because these videos seem to be picked up more and more at the moment. This is the Startup Business Q&A. So you're watching episode 77 at the moment. We've been running this there for over a year. It's every Monday at 8 a.m. New York time, so Eastern Standard Time, which is 1 p.m. GMT London time. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks so much everyone for sending through questions. I have here something like 8 questions, I think it is, pinged out a couple of days ago. A request for questions specifically on lead generation. So I'm looking right now at really bringing more value into these Q&As, and I love that we have the focus of startup businesses every week, and we'll probably kind of have that as our main thrust. But what I'm trying to do is make each week, at least for now, a little bit more thematic. So last week we focused on branding. This week we focused on lead generation and all things around that. So hi everyone for joining in. Thanks so much everyone who's jumped online here on YouTube. I'm looking over there because I've got a monitor for it. And everyone on the podcast, everyone on SoundCloud, everyone through my website, everyone here on Facebook. It's wonderful that so many of you are keen to listen in. It's so essential when it comes to building a business that you have your lead gen right. And so I'm really excited about this session. It's also a thing I feel that to a strong degree I am an authority on, because I started selling. It's getting on for being, well, as good 15, 17, or what was it? When it would have been? 2002. So 16 years ago I started selling, and that was phone based, but I was selling internet advertising in 2002. So a long time ago, but I've moved through a lot of different things. So not just the selling through the phone, but face to face as well, all the way through to digital. So I'm talking about adverts and funnels, but also the more value-based selling too. So lead gen is essential. Without leads, you're nowhere really, and I'm really excited to get into this. In addition, there is a very exciting thing, which is today, because it's a bit of a New Year thing, I wanted to kind of share a bit more. The Monetize You course, okay, which has now become my best-selling course. It outperformed Basics of Sales, which in fact outperformed 8-Step Startup as well. Monetize You, arguably it's just marketing, right? I don't know. But the Monetize You course, the idea behind it is that anyone shown the right steps, which this provides in 6 lessons, can generate income for themselves. And I've had testimonies from people doing this, 2,000 up to like 6,000 in a month. Some people generating money within their first week as well. But the twist on it is the Monetize You course uses your existing knowledge base, so a thing you're into, and leverages that, rather than teaching you MLM or teaching you Forex trading or teaching you real estate or Bitcoin trading, whatever the hell it might be. Instead, it's leveraging stuff you already know. So that's been a phenomenal course. I'm very proud of it. I'm giving away 50% off for 5 people who are watching this today. In order to win, you have to do 2 things. Firstly, you have to share this video. So you have to share the Q&A on your profile on Facebook. But the second thing is I'd like you to send me a message just in a DM. Don't share it here because then other people get ideas, right? So share it in a DM. What would you monetize? And the whole point of the Monetize You course is you're monetizing a thing you're into, something you're really geeky about. Maybe it's World of Warcraft. Maybe it's PC programming in some old language. Maybe it's comic books. Perhaps it's bakery. Maybe it's flower arranging. Maybe it's massage, nutrition, health and wellness, mindset, whatever it might be, whatever you're into, not something you'd like to learn about, the thing you would love to just talk about all the time. What's the thing you would like to monetize? Send me in a DM, share this Q&A, and I will pick 5 people later today who will actually get that. So let's get on with the Q&A. Everyone who's joined in here on YouTube or on Facebook, if you have a question, just ping it over in the comments. As usual, thank you everyone who watches this, even if you're still tucked up in bed somewhere, maybe on the West Coast of the States. If you're watching this as a replay, then of course ping me a message if you have a question on the comments section, and I'll answer the question later on. But thumbs up if that all makes sense, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon, those of you keen on the Monetize You course. Let's get into it. So the first question is from John Brooker. He said, "Hi Richard, I have a question here. It is, how long do you wait to re-email someone, and how do you phrase it to not sound desperate or pushy? Situation is, I used to be in the British sailing team, and I've contacted one of the managers I knew back then to discuss me doing some marketing for them. I got a positive reply after the first email 10 days ago saying he'd talk to someone next week and get back to me. Week has passed but no reply, so I don't know when the right time is to send a reminder email would be." Look, let's just be really clear here. Whenever you engage with someone the first time, this is more about following up, I suppose, John, but whenever you engage with someone the first time, what's really essential is that you set in place some kind of, you build in a CTA, a call to action. So what I'm saying here is you build into your initial email or your pitch when you meet them face to face, whatever it is, you say, here's when we're going to organize to speak again, or you agree on it or whatever, because then you've got the next step already plugged in. Here you said, a positive reply after the first email 10 days ago saying he'd speak to someone next week and get back to me. When someone emails you anything, it's an opportunity to give them a call. I think it's a call. I would always call. This isn't getting in their face, but I always call to say just wanted to call to say thanks so much. Okay, at all opportunities, this is just the way I feel about things. When you get an email from someone like that, at all opportunities, try and call them. If it's a Facebook message, grab your phone and do a video. Worst case, a voice message. It's so much better in terms of carrying tonality and things like that. And say to them, just wanted to say thanks so much for that. That's fantastic. I see here you're going to be speaking to the guy next week. You know, I'll give you a call on Wednesday, unless it's going to be later than that. So like a question, because I want to find out exactly when in the new week they're going to be doing it. This isn't to pressure people. It's just to know when it's fair to call that person back. And he gets back to you. Yes, Rich, I'm going to be speaking to them on Thursday. Great. Thanks so much for letting me know. I'll contact you on later on in the day on Thursday then to see how it went, or let me know. So I have every right to call someone on Thursday if they've said on Thursday they would have discussed it. I think that's fair. A mistake I see a lot when I coach, and I'm coaching not thousands yet, but hundreds of salespeople across each year, I would say, in different companies in London. And the one thing that happens is you get someone say, sure, we'll give you a response or an answer, or I'll have a decision on, say, Wednesday. And then the salesperson goes, okay, so Wednesday you have your answer. Cool. So I'll give you a call, say, at the end of the week or something like that. What's going on there? Nothing. That's just a waste of time. That Thursday and Friday, you're just wasting time. If there's a decision on Wednesday, go call them on Wednesday, because time kills interest. So what happens is you lose emotion, they lose buy-in, they lose interest. So you need to get in there right away. Okay, so they're deciding it, they're making a decision, be right there straight away. My answer to this directly, John, is call them right away. He said he'd speak to someone last week and get back to you. He didn't, so call him. And if you can't get hold of him, then your email's the same as what you would say on the phone, which is, hi, you know, whoever your name is. Hi, thanks so much for our catch up last week. I didn't hear back from you after your chat with your person internally. You know, how are we looking, or what's the latest? Can you give us an update or something like that? It's fair. You're within your rights. Don't wait. You've got to go get, but don't pressurize. All I'm saying in here is you need to meet that person as soon as you possibly can, but when it's fair or reasonable to call them. And when it's fair or reasonable is when they said they'd be ready, as in, we're having this meeting on this day at this time, so don't call them before. It's stupidity. Call them afterwards. It's called common sense. It's actually a book I was dipping back into earlier today by Mark McCormack. So he's the IMG founder, big sports media business. And his book is called What They Don't Teach You in Harvard Business School. It's a very good book for that kind of thing and how to follow up people, so it's worth doing. One thing I would also suggest, John, is try a call if you've just been emailing. Okay, perhaps think about if you try calling people a few times and you're getting nothing back, try a different reason to engage. Okay, I did this a lot in the past. If for instance someone said they're going to do something, maybe with, I don't know, let's make one up. Let's say that we've been working, we've been speaking to each other through Facebook Messenger, and that person said he would do whatever, so buy something or whatever, on the Thursday. Rather than calling him on the Friday and saying, well, why didn't you buy it or something like that, start a new conversation about something else. Just go in with something else. Hey, man, great. I just thought I'd say that post you put on was hilarious, or even comment on the post. Not, hey, why didn't you buy my thing? Comment, this is brilliant, or something like that. Just stay in orbit around them. They'll soon remember what you last spoke about. But going direct sometimes is the wrong approach, because people then feel like there's an issue. You'll get there soon enough. Start a dialogue. Your problem this is the takeaway for everyone paying attention. This is the takeaway. When someone doesn't respond to you, your problem isn't if they want to do it or not. Your problem is you have no dialogue. You've lost the conversation. That's the thing to fix first. It's not if they want to do it or if they don't and what the objections are and things like that. No, it's getting conversation started again. So I need to get that person back online in whatever sense it might be. And as I said, it may well be that when someone's kind of dropped off the radar and lost interest, the best way in is low intensity. Don't go in guns blazing. Hey, haven't heard from you for a while. Are we still buying this? Are we still doing this? It's too full on for them. There was clearly a problem, right? Otherwise they would have bought it. So what you need to do is go, okay, there's going to be a problem, but I need to gently ease my way in. Otherwise that person's not going to be forthcoming with the issue. So let's talk about something else. Low key, bring them in, and then we go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, John, great question. Thanks for starting us off. Next one here is from Sam Payne. Blast from the past. I haven't spoken to Sam in ages. Hooked up with him in London a while back, I remember. He's a great guy. So thanks for your question, Sam. He said, what would your strategy be when marketing low ticket e-commerce products, say £10 to £50? So that's what, $15 to $70 to get the best ROI with paid traffic. This is something I'm working on right now, so it would be great to get your insight. I genuinely feel, Sam, that even if it's paid or not, it's the same principle. Saturate your content with value for the buyer, and then put in your ask in between. Okay, so if you are asking with your ads all the time, you're not going to get enough from them to make them want to go buy. So if I'm selling let's be clear, you're asking about low ticket e-commerce products. I understand is a high volume you're trying to maybe sell. If I'm selling these low ticket products, if I'm banging out ads all the time, it's going to crush my margin completely because I'm spending so much money, not making enough back. Also, I'm not getting buy-in, especially nowadays when everyone's flogging stuff online. Go value, honestly, go value. Boost or advertise value. Okay, so stuff about, I don't know what you're selling right now, but let's say you're selling yoga mats for $5 or $10 or something like that, whatever it is. Say yoga mats. Rather than just sending out paid ads for yoga mats, create a bit more of an ecosystem around the value of doing yoga, the best yoga mats, feedback from yoga instructors. Go and visit 20 yoga instructors in London, because I know you're in London, and record what they have to say about the best yoga mats or some advice like that. Get that stuff out there as well, and in amongst it you insert your asks, because you've got to become more influencer focused. I believe you've got to be a bit more of an interesting draw for people. If you are only using ads on their own, so that's the only content you're producing that is directly asking for the buy from the audience, what you're doing is you're basically you're kind of a notification service. What you're doing is you're spending to create this abundance of you saying, we're here if you need us. The people that buy then are the ones who were in the market for it anyway. And you happen to be there at the right time and the right place. Okay. I feel that it's profitable in the long run, Sam, to be producing huge amount more content. I'm talking a ratio of, 8 to 1 or something like that, that builds value for that target audience, right? And then you have the ask in between, because they're in orbit around you. So when the time comes that that person decides they want to buy that yoga mat, you haven't got to hope that your ad happens to be on their mobile phone in their hand at that moment. You've already built in that kind of equity in their head, that kind of the branding is there. That's why Coca-Cola still advertise at Christmas. Holidays are coming means it's Christmas, right? You get there, the truck, the red adverts with the trucks and all that kind of thing. And it's like, I think Coca-Cola are good for shifting Coke, right? But they still do it so that if you want to buy Coke now, great, we've got a sale. But probably you don't. So if it comes into your mind that, hey, I want a fizzy drink right now, 5 days from now on a Tuesday afternoon, then that's in your head, and that's the point. I think this is basics of marketing, but I strongly believe that this is an important way of doing things. So my strategy when marketing low ticket e-commerce products is still generate that massive amount of content, saturating the actual value content. Okay, I hope that helps, and great to hear from you. Thanks so much for that. So anyone who's joining in here, we're focused on lead generation today. Thumbs up if this is a useful topic for you. Everyone watching, if lead generation is of use. Also, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be talking about Monetize You and the opportunity to get a 50% reduction on the course price. Only 5 people are being able to win. You have to share this video, but also want a DM from you on what you would monetize. So what your thought, what your hobby is, or you want to post in the comments as well. I'd be keen to know. Don't talk about what your business is. So if you run a hair salon or something, that's fine. But what's your kind of guilty pleasure? What's your geeky hobby thing? What's the thing you do? Is it reading romantic novels? Is it is it writing poetry? Whatever it is, I'd be really interested to know. So thumbs up if this is a great topic for you, but also I'd be interested to see in the comments what you have to say about your hobby. Caradine Farley has asked, Richard, how do you get leads using Facebook ads? I think he's probably got more of an elaborate question than that underneath it, because and I think Caradine's probably asked this on behalf of the people who are watching this, because Caradine himself is a very capable man when it comes to Facebook ads. What I do think, though, is that there are some very essential black and white fundamentals that are missed with Facebook ads. As simple as this, one of the probably most profound things I was ever taught about Facebook ads is the objective of the advert is not to do the whole thing, as in the wholesale for cold traffic. Someone's never seen you before, take them all the way through to a sale. It's to get the click. It's to get them to the next step. So, for example, I have a lot of Facebook ads that aren't selling anything. I have Facebook ads that are testing if this particular piece of content is driving interest from the audience I'm targeting. So it's testing the audience, and it tests it by giving great value, okay? And the call to action is taking them to a place, not where they might ultimately buy something on that page, but actually to a place where there's more value. Because I'm not checking if that person loves the second page of value. That's another thing I'm doing somewhere else. What I'm checking is if the original value was sufficiently good to get people to click. So what's your ratio? What's your conversion? And so a great example of this is if you're warming up traffic, again, like I said earlier with John Brooker's ads, it would be wise to look at, with Sam Payne's ads, it'd be wise to look at the idea of adverts that get people to go to another page, or to validate that their audience you should be targeting. How many people are really engaging in that? That free value you're giving. Maybe it's an audio or a swipe file or something like that. Whatever it might be, how many people of the 63,000 you've targeted are actually clicking through and deciding to then look at your other value. It's an amazing way to see if there's a load of people who are interested. Then use that set of people and retarget them with maybe an ad that takes them a bit closer. The key thing about the ads, though, is that if they then go onto a landing page, maybe you've got used ClickFunnels or Unbounce or your own website, it really is essential that there's this kind of a thread or a sense of continuity and consistency, not just in the message or story of the advert to then the landing page say on your home on your website, but also in terms of like the vibe, the feel, the environment that that person's in. So don't just story tell in the same way on the landing page, but also look at consistency in palette, in color, in layout, in type of font, in image, in you know, things like that. If it feels like it's part of the same story, then that potential buyer or lead who's looked at that early ad that's gained a bit of traction, when they click through to say your website, they'll feel like they're still in that same story. If you're lacking congruity between the advert and the landing page on your site, in kind of, they don't feel like they're part of the same family. It should feel like they're almost made by the same artist, if that makes sense. The same design work, things like that, same logos and everything. So it will create that familiarity. If anyone's read Originals by Adam Grant, one of his latest book, is Professor from Wharton. Those of you who read Give and Take, Originals is even better in my opinion. He talks about the value of familiarity in people buying into things, and it's the same as like the person who cleans my house, the person who cleans the windows, who also actually cleans the house around the outside of the house as well. Those two people, are they the best at what they do? Probably not. But they're the people I think are the best at what they do because I'm familiar with them. That like they're bought in because they're people I'm used to and things like that. I think Adam Grant gives a really good example of this, where he says, if you're shown images of yourself inverted and then what you actually look like, you prefer the inverted version. If you show your friends images of you inverted and then what you actually look like, they prefer what you actually look like. The reason why is because you inverted is what you're familiar with from mirrors, right? Whereas from your friends, they don't look at you through a mirror, look at you face on. It's very strange. We get used to what we actually look like. For me, I'm like this handsome guy, but for everyone else, they're like, who's this guy? Look at the state of him. It's because I'm used to a slightly different view of myself, right? And everyone else is the same. So hopefully that makes sense. Familiarity is essential. So make sure that that's crucial in there. So Karen, we both know we could go on all night about funnels and things like that, but getting leads through Facebook ads, I think, get the click. Don't try and do the whole thing on that advert, and understand you're going to have a number of ads as well as part of a process. And with each step of that process, you might split with separate ones to try if something else works. Okay, it's essential. Those adverts that try and take cold traffic, so people who've never seen your content before, and take them from zero all the way through to buying, it's very difficult to do, and you need someone who's world class doing that. And I really feel that it's for certain products where that works. And as I said a little earlier, you really are hoping to what you're trying to do is leverage people who happen to be in the market for it anyway. I've bought stuff through Facebook from seeing an advert for the first time because I happened in that moment to be like, do you know what? I need that right now. I don't think it was the ad. I think it was like, actually, I was thinking about this earlier. I need that right now. And the stars aligned. It's probably happened twice, but the stars aligned. I was like, I need that right now, actually. I don't need that, but I needed something like that. And it's, you know, you won because you were in my face at that moment. So that's a very weak strategy to work on, the kind of the serendipity thing. I think it's far better to be a little bit more calculated and have something of a campaign, if that makes sense. Okay, right, let's talk about Monetize You. So 5 of you, if you want the Monetize You course, okay, it's normally $97. You get it at half price, so we'll just call it, what was it, $48. And what will happen is you get the whole course for life, but I will also be on hand to help you out. Monetize You is about taking your hobby. Someone earlier, I think it was Rukan, said your hobby is drawing, for example. Whatever your hobby is, I've shown a way, because I've got clients and people who've done this, to actually leverage that and then monetize it simply using Facebook. And the course actually goes into explaining exactly the things to say. If you want it for half price, if you think about buying it before, you can check out therichardmoore.com /monetize you, and you can, I think there's a course is monetize you. You can actually see it and understand how it works, a bit more detail there. But if you'd like that, you need to share this video and send me a DM simply saying why, or rather what you monetize on the course. Okay, so I'd love to know what the thing you would monetize is. Okay, so 5 of you only, and I'll announce that tomorrow. Next question is from Emma Wright. She says, Richard, one question I have is, how effective is social media? How effective is social media? Does it depend on the type of product you are promoting? Is it worth paying extra for the targeted adverts? Or can you achieve similar results just by being a very active social butterfly and taking advantage of what Facebook can achieve without the costs? Let's read this again. Listen carefully. How effective is social media? Does it depend on the type of product you're promoting? Is it worth paying extra for the targeted adverts, or can you achieve similar results just by being a very active social butterfly and taking advantage of what Facebook can achieve without the costs? What Emma's done here is list all things that people have done well with. The question being asked, and I don't want to, this isn't being bad to you, Emma, this is a really good question. The question isn't about the capability, or rather the answer. Let me be clear. The question is about the capability of Facebook. The answer is about the capability of you. This is important. How effective is social media? It's bloody effective. It's about as effective as you could possibly be if you're capable. Does it depend on the type of product you're promoting? Only if you know how to promote it or don't know how to promote it. No is the answer. People are selling mattresses. People are selling real estate. People are selling literally anything. If you look at SpaceX, who decide to televise every single launch of their satellites and things like that, that is announced on social media. Why? Because it builds brand and familiarity around SpaceX that muscles out any other potential competition. It acculturates us to SpaceX rather than being in the news today, NASA released some rocket. Oh, okay, we don't hear about it otherwise. It's this constant stream of us being aware about SpaceX and its launching and things like that. What it launches is kind of boring. It's like a satellite for some news network or something like that. But the point is that we're getting used to them. Does it help them with selling? Hell yes, because of course it gives brand equity. So people are more inclined to want to buy from them because they're the player. Simple as that. But and we look a bit further. Is it worth paying extra for the targeted adverts? Yes, if you're any good at using them. I know a guy who is a multi-millionaire purely from being campaign manager for Facebook's Facebook ads. Facebook send him gifts all the time. The guy's spend for his clients is like in the millions some days because he has such big budgets, because he's worked with the likes of Tony Robbins. Like, he's seriously about as good as it gets. If you went anywhere, any kind of decent conference on Facebook ads, that guy would be there. There's a person called Nicholas Kuzmich. He's got an amazing book called Give, you should check out as well. And then, or can you achieve similar results by just being a very active social butterfly and taking advantage of what Facebook can achieve without the cost? Hell yes, of course you can. I know a guy who is also a multimillionaire, purely organic stuff through Facebook. Yes, 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 and yes. All of this is yes. You have to be good. That's the thing. I could go into the most lucrative, accessible, effective, impactful, penetrative way of marketing my product, but if I'm no good as the practitioner, I'm screwed. So I'm using your question, Emma, to kind of make a point here, rather than directing it at you. It's essentially understand all of this works. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it is true. For some, they are still using mail out, as in a letter you receive through your letterbox marketing, and they make money from it. That's possible if you're epic at doing that still, and you understand the nuances nowadays in 2018 of really why the hell people aren't interested in that. You see, so people can sell anything. You can use any platform you like. You can do flyer drops through letterboxes, and you can work, but you have to be good at it. So let's be a bit more practical here. Social media is tremendously successful, Emma. If you're going to be using it for any product, yes, you can use it to promote yourself. It doesn't matter what your product is. This is the reason why. The reason it doesn't matter what your product is when you're selling on social media is because your customers are on social media. Because your customers are on social media, then as long as you get them in the right frame and you get them in the right kind of level of receptivity, you give them the right message in the right way, possibly even at the right moment, it means that that set of people will be more receptive to buying your thing. It maybe you have a bit of a convoluted funnel or route for them to actually take to end up buying the product rather than just like that, perhaps with a low ticket product like in Sam Payne's question. But certainly, without question, you can access anyone who will buy any product if you do it in the right way. It's just worth doing. Is it worth paying extra? If you can afford it, I personally think you're insane to not use paid for ads. In addition, be clear before everyone jumps on me, in addition to quality, regular, or I say regular, but epic, again, really good content, okay? This Q&A is free. Okay, I put it out on my profile so anyone can see it. It also goes live on YouTube over there, and then snippets are promoted all over the place. SoundCloud on my site, SEO, Twitter, but all the other things as well. But the point is that that's free, and that is a way or a device or vehicle that in some ways helps promote ultimately my courses and things like that. In addition, there's paid ads as well. Why wouldn't you do a bit of everything? It makes sense to try and leverage the lot, because for every person that would buy through your organic stuff, they might not buy through ads, they might not respond to that. But then there's a person who responds to your ads who never sees your organic stuff because they wake up in a different time zone or something like that. So whatever it is, I really think all of it should be done. The other reason why it's insane not to make use of Facebook advertising, as an example, or Instagram, because it's kind of similar, same thing, is because the depth, not just the breadth of people you can reach, but the depth in the people you can reach is phenomenal, and you've never had it so good. I sold internet marketing at basically what you call the turn of the century. I competed with it, really did compete with another division of my business. This was back in 2002, that did print advertising. Because it was de rigueur to do print advertising back then, people would throw $8,000 on a half-page print advert in a magazine that technically landed on the doormat of however many thousands of companies that technically were in the right kind of demographic or space. Does the advert get read? Who knows? I remember someone saying to me once, it's hilarious, people talk about advertising in magazines. I use magazines to hold the door open. You know, I shove them underneath so it doesn't swing shut. It's like, people don't read this stuff. That was back then, but culturally people were into it. And then, you know, with web advertising, I was able to actually demonstrate measurable results, and people were like, nah, that's not, that doesn't work. And it's a culture thing. So it's difficult because you know, we're in a space then where people didn't quite get it, but now it's different. Everyone using Facebook has some level of data. Facebook has bought third-party data, credit ratings, things like that. So you could penetrate through and you could target single income stay-at-home dads in particular states of America with a particular income bracket and net worth level who have an interest in fishing. I mean, unbelievable. And then you can target that guy so that you have posts that just hit him only at certain times of the day and certain days of the week. Okay. And then if that person engages with it, you can then retarget that person or the people who did engage with another type of advert. Unbelievable, unbelievable stuff. So it's insane to not make use of that. Does organic free stuff, putting out content help? Of course, but only if you do it right. And doing it right means, of course, great distribution. When I first started out, producing content online, one of the big problems was no one, not that everyone knows who I am now, but really no one knew who the hell I was. So producing great content was kind of arguably pointless because it didn't get me anywhere because no one knew that I was out there. So when I produced content, the next thing I would do is focus on sharing it. I was in groups where there was an abundance and engagement and things like that, and I would share stuff because then people would start going, hey, who's this guy? And that was quite interesting. I never looked at it that way. Then they check you out because people are voyeurs and they end up going onto your website and so on. So everything, yes. Big rant over, but Emma has an amazing question. It's such a valuable question. I'm really glad you asked it because it goes to the heart of the way some people view social media. It works. You just got to know how to make it work. Which should you use? Probably all of it to start with and test and experiment. But bear in mind that, you need to think about certain demographics. If I'm trying to market stair lifts, right, the chairs that go around a stair, designed for people who are immobile or have problems with movement, typically older people, I'm not going to leverage Musically, right, because it just tends to not be the right demographic. But within reason, pretty much everything, and try them out. A few comments coming through. Thumbs up if that makes sense, by the way. If you agree with me, I want to know. Get grumpy face if you don't feel that you should be using Facebook ads. But I really think if you have the money, you should try it because the access to information you have is amazing. Anurag has written, do you believe in the law of attraction when it comes to chasing goals? I believe in the law of action. Okay, I feel that it's a good idea to have in mind the things you want to be doing, as long as you execute. That's the main thing. Intent will get you nowhere. Okay, intent gets you nowhere unless it's coupled or married with a strong sense of action and taking action as well. Dive in, expect to get bloodied as you go, but be on the pitch. That's the main thing. The metaphorical equivalent, Anurag, is sitting on the bench. I'm using a football analogy here, but sitting on the bench and really, really, really wanting to help the team win, but you can't do a single thing. Sure, you can clap and you can shout, give them pumped up messages, but you're not on the pitch. You need to be on the pitch. Intent is only a part of the way there. Okay, so hopefully that helps. With chasing goals, yeah, but with anything as well. Is marketing the biggest key when it comes to initial coin offerings or initial public offering? Well, look, if you look at ICOs, if you look at initial coin offerings, we're talking here. So Anurag is in cryptocurrency. So if you're trying to do an ICO, launch a currency, you need to understand that the reason why, well, maybe two reasons why people aren't gonna buy your flashy new idea of a coin. For instance, code is proven through Kodak. I don't know if anyone knows. If you're into coins, you'll know that Kodak is releasing a cryptocurrency. I haven't looked into too much detail, but it allows purchasing or something, or buying things in terms of in digital photography, if you like. So Kodak's releasing its crypto. They're going to do all right, arguably, because they have initial traction and that people know who Kodak are. They probably have a list of people they could send targeted information to. It's probably bigger than others. They probably have a little bit of budget they could use to target people as well, more than the average person. ICOs, much like any other product, the problem they have typically is an abundance issue. They're obscure. No one knows who the hell they are. Okay, Bitcoin went crazy just before Christmas. December was insane because huge amount of money was invested in it. A lot of that by people who a month before had never heard of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. What they saw was hype, and where there's hype, fever, people like all going crazy with each other, that's where people gravitate. What's going on here? Oh, hang on, you're making loads of money. I'll just put some money in against a credit card and things like that. When you hear your own cleaner talking about cryptocurrency, it's a sign that it's reached a kind of a more of a mainstream position. So same with ICO, you need firstly people to know about it. And then secondly, knowing about things isn't enough. A lot of people know about really bad stuff. They're not going to invest in it. What you've also got to know about is the good stuff about it. So it's got to be a good vibe. Telling people and letting people know about you is one thing, but you've got to be good and give good stuff to people as well. You've got to have good, you know, have not just sharing the let me rephrase this, sharing the knowledge that your ICO is going to happen, Anurag, but also you need the right people talking about it, so it's seen in a favorable light as well. If you look at Bitcoin, then you've got the likes of Ethereum and Litecoin and so on. These ones have come through the ranks a lot more because there's some kind of alignment with them, and as a result, people feel keen on them. Are there better coins out there? Of course there bloody are, but they're ones that people don't know about, and the key influencers in the cryptocurrency space don't know them, or perhaps aren't so keen on them, and so they're not pushing them. Simple as that. If I received an endorsement from Richard Branson, I'd probably do better in terms of people knowing about me, but also the view of me would go up even greater in terms of favorability, and that would help. So those two components are essential. I hope that helps. As Buddha said, middle way is the best way. Sometimes it is. Yeah, do a bit of everything. Nauman Neo, thanks so much for your question. Tax saving. Could you elaborate a bit more? I don't know what your question is exactly, but save tax if you can, but don't break the law is my response to that. So any of you who are interested in the Monetize You course for half price, you need to share this video and also send me a DM what you would monetize. So what your hobby is basically. So I want to know what it is, if it's, you know, hairdressing, being a tailor, a copywriter, whatever it might be. The thing you are good at, your hobby, I'd love to know. But yeah, lead gen is a really important topic. So thanks everyone for joining in on this. Let's look at a couple more questions. So Daniel Nunes, you're here every week, man. Some great questions from you. Thank you. How do you generate qualified leads using social media with a limited or non-existent advertising budget? Thumbs up if this is a question that's on your mind, because this is probably the most popular one. So I'm glad it was asked, actually. Generating leads using social media, but without any budget for advertising. You're saying non-existent or limited advertising budget. So let's say you haven't got any budget at all. One technique, and there's loads you can do, but let's give you an example. One technique you could use is, let me think about an example. Let's say I'm going to release a new type of, I don't know, I've decided to build a company today that's going to release a new type of basketball shoe, sneaker, you might call it. So if I'm going to do that, I could generate content around it and hope it goes viral and things like that. But who am I going to target? I can make logical or educated guesses that it's probably a certain demographic, maybe male, maybe say 15 to 28 years old, maybe in certain regions, maybe obviously something interesting, including basketball and so on, and key players, you know, like Stephen Curry and people like that. But what's effective, I've found, is if you are to try and find people that you're going to retarget, a good idea is to create shareability. You want to see what content really gets going and then leverage the people, okay, or retarget the people who shared all that content and who engaged with that. So what you want to do is maybe look at, instead of sharing your content, share content that you know is going to be kind of micro viral or shareable. So shareability to start with can be a really good part of a campaign. And what you do maybe is share the top 5 MBA videos that you saw on YouTube. If you share that with permission and everything sorted out, share that as a post, you know, just click on and share. What may happen then is you get a huge amount of interest in it. The people who are interested in that are the people you can target. So we did this a while back. One of my team, I don't mind sharing this, one of my team did this. It was a really good idea. He actually did some very low amount of money going into it, a very small investment in Facebook ads with videos from well-known entrepreneurs. Okay, now these videos were snippets They were advertised to very broad demographics, and the ones who engaged in it, and like we're talking about outrageous amount of views, hundreds of thousands of views, and crazy amounts of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I think it was like thousands of likes. Yes, so many people interested in it, because you know that even though I wasn't very well known by that group, what I certainly knew was that the people in those videos I was putting out were tremendously well known by that group, right? So what you've got is you're promoting well-known entrepreneurs in their little videos just for a couple of weeks, and when you get all of that data, what Facebook's doing is it's saying, you know, we've got a retargeting. We can retarget the people who engage in that video. All those people are into that kind of entrepreneur, and they're very likely to be into my kind of thing as well. So it's a very interesting way of doing it. That's something I would suggest you try out. But qualifying leads using social media with almost no advertising budget comes down to one thing: is consistently being there and providing exciting content that gives great value. I don't know if some of you have been following me for 2 or 3 years now. Back in 2015, I talked about my my approach called the CARE approach, C-A-R-E, which is consistency. So you're putting out content every day. Abundance, so it's regular as well, not just kind of once a day. It's maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe on Facebook every day. R means it's relevant, so it's relevant is in a very pure signal. So I'm not just giving loads of great content about one particular thing and then randomly a picture of a dog sitting on a cat or something because it's funny. Keeping it really, really relevant. And then E stands for engagement, which is if anyone dares engage, you engage them back, and so on. And that's a really good way of getting qualified leads, because what happens is you get people kind of flocking over to it, and then the ones that fall away aren't really interested, but the ones that stick and they keep coming back and engaging in more content, sending more comments, they're the ones who are, you know, a good example of qualified leads. And a little tip, if any of you are taking notes on this, a great tip if you want to get the engagement part working is when someone engages, say they send you a comment. This is great on Instagram, by the way, if you want to build your Instagram comments up. When someone writes a comment, don't just thank them. If you just thank them, what's happened to the conversation? If someone says, hey, I really loved this video, and you write, thanks, that's really kind, you may be thinking, oh, I'm doing the thank you thing, right? That's good, yeah? Yes, but it's only half of what you should be doing. Thanking someone has now ended the conversation, because what else is going to happen? A really good tip is to then ask a question. So if someone says, I really like this video, oh, fantastic, thanks very much. What was the thing you liked the most? Now, what are they going to do? They're going to see you've responded. They get a notification on the phone that you responded to their comment. Hang on, what is it that they wrote about me? Was it bad? Was it good? People always have to check out if someone's written a comment about them or in line with their comment. And you've asked them a question. Oh, I'm here. I'll just write your answer there. And now I'm getting engagement. Firstly, it helps the algorithm. Okay. Instagram's going, okay, we'll start passing things out to more people. Look, there's engagement going on. Secondly, you're getting more comments coming out, and you're learning as well. So every time someone sends you a question, puts in a comment, you know, respond, sure, but add in a question so that people are coming back again and again. And it's crazy. Overnight, suddenly, instead of having, you know, 6 comments that become 12 because you respond to them, you end up getting at least, you know, you get often like 15, 18, then it perpetuates because they're actually responding to your response, which was a question. So simple, just think about that way. Safe, a good question here. Do you have a preferred way to generate leads? I feel social media needs a huge consistent time investment to stand out and get leads. Yes, it does. And I would say social media is my preferred way. Instagram never ceases to impress me. I never thought it would do as well as it did, and it's really, really impressed me. I've got at times I've got better results from Instagram than Facebook, but really Facebook's been the thing for me. I'm just diversified, because you don't know if in 2 years from now something happens and Facebook's over, or in 2 years from now something happens and Facebook just isn't where people are anymore. You know, being on Instagram right now is A1 importance, because it's where a huge amount of attention is. There was a time when attention was on MySpace. So this is just for all of you who are thinking, oh God, come on, Facebook's going nowhere. Sure, right now it probably isn't. But there was a time when everyone was on MySpace, and it just, then no one's on MySpace now. There's a small amount of alt people who are kind of there because that's their thing. Like they're on Elo and they rebranded and didn't really do much. But there'll always be some pockets of people, and maybe you want to go and fish in that pond. But in the main, Facebook's owning it. But it doesn't mean it's always going to. You need to kind of look at where attention is right now, but also be aware that things may change in the future. Don't get too comfortable in one space. Very interesting observation is that the guy Nicholas Kushmich I talked about a little earlier, who's massive on Facebook ads, so a multimillionaire from that. He recently I saw was dropping some questions about Instagram marketing and adverts, and you think that might be just because Instagram's aligned with Facebook, or it might be he's covering that side because maybe things are changing, who knows. But it's intelligent to kind of diversify that. I try and make use of all types, so affiliates all the way through to asking on a podcast or something like that. But my preferred way of generating leads is Facebook, because with great content reaching so many people, you can end up with people going, hey, you actually know what, for everyone who's like, you're an idiot, I don't like you, there'll be some people who are like, I think you're quite cool, this is quite useful stuff, I'll stick around, watch some more and follow you next week. That's what matters. Okay. And yeah, David Lewis, people laugh at my space, but there will be in MySpace right now, or rather, let me put it this way, MySpace now represents a certain demographic, right? So maybe for some, MySpace is actually a very good place to go fish, because in terms of leads, that's where a certain type of people are. Do you see what I mean? Elo, if any of you, I don't know if any of you heard of it, Elo tried to be a little bit more of a creative social media platform, never really took off because they weren't really clear about what they were doing, and it just was a little bit too off the wall and trendy. And in the end, it was restricted entry, and I was trying to work on scarcity. And in the end, I hadn't the time for it, and I don't think anyone else did either. But some people are on it, and it's become a very kind of alternative space for creatives. And again, Elo might be a place where you could really do magic, so who knows? But so it needs to be what works for you, if that makes sense. Let's do a couple more questions. We've done about 50 minutes. Thumbs up if this has been useful. I hope the content in this has been useful for you. Really, in terms of lead generation, there's a lot we could cover, so happy to receive some more questions after this if you need. Tofi Evans, all the way from New Zealand, if I'm right, I'm not entirely, forgive me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you are, has asked, what's been the biggest eye-opener in your career in getting a better lead to conversion ratio? Okay, so a couple of things. Firstly, one of them, especially with online lead generation, to get conversion, one of them, the eye-openers, I kind of knew this anyway from my time on the phone and face-to-face, but it's actually telling them, or let me just call it asking them to convert. So giving someone a call to action, it's not something that's naturally, not always intuitive. So for instance, if your mindset is, I'm going to create a 59 or a 60-second video of value and post it to Instagram, in your mind you're thinking, I'm in value giving mode, and you leave it at that. Well, it doesn't mean at the end you have to add in, okay, just before I go, make sure you buy stuff from me. But you need to give a call to action, which might be, like a link to your website or something like that, or a searchable hashtag or something that will take people back to you. So it's crazy the difference between producing content of value and then producing content of value with very gentle, subtle, not even a nudge, a kind of a call to action for those who want it at the end is worth doing. And sometimes the things like YouTube, it's just what you should do, I think, at the end. In fact, maybe it's not for everyone, but at the end, if you're producing a value-based video, to say, if you like this, like it, leave me a comment, what did you think, ask a question, or don't forget to subscribe, things like that. Because otherwise, it's amazing how when I started saying don't forget to subscribe, people started subscribing a bit more. And before that, you think, well, isn't it obvious? Well, often it isn't, so you need to tell people. And that actually comes from back at when I was doing sales. So I would be calling business owners or CEOs or something, and I would be selling them this internet advertising. And at the end, often you'd hear people say, so that sounds really good. And that'd be it. And it kind of, the call would dissipate. And it's like, you have to actually say, so do you want to do it? Yes, I do. Okay, so let's go to the next step. I'll send you a form, sign it, and then we're off, right? And you know, unless you actually ask someone, sometimes they don't do it. So you do need to ask. That's one of the big things. Or you do need to give someone a call to action. Otherwise, people get confused. Like, especially with an advert, you know, they get an advert and it's like, right, okay, thanks for the value. What do I do next? Some people want what you're talking about. Give them a place to go. You know, you might be crap on search engines, so people can't find you. So give them your web link instead, right? It makes a big difference. So hopefully that helps. The other thing, excuse me, the other thing I would say in terms of converting people isn't just the call to action, but you have to lead them by the hand. So if I've got an advert that links to my page, don't just presume people are going to work out where to go. Lead them by the hand. Click here or apply here or whatever it is, because those that want it need to know where to go for it. On Amazon, you might think it's intuitive, only because they've made it intuitive. They've got a little button that says click here or my basket or checkout or buy now or one click buy. You've got to lead people by the hand and guide them. I think the other thing, I've not given you one thing, I've given you three now, I think, but instead of the biggest eye opener. But I do think that it wasn't an eye opener, but it's something I think I knew, but I think it's one of my superpowers. Is that if you really want leads to convert, it depends on your product, right? But on the things I do, consulting, for instance, you have to be patient. There's a guy I've known for almost 15 years, and he always rated me, and he loved what I did. And it was only when it was only, you know, a year or so ago that became the right time for him to then employ my stuff, because he just wasn't in the right place. So that's the way it has to be. Sometimes it changes like that. You know, he then became a certain position in the company, then he needed me, and then we're away. So sometimes you just got to be there with people. One of my most profitable my profitable clients, a client that generated most profit, she was doing $250,000 in her first year, over $500,000 in her second year. I was alongside her for like 9 months. Okay, just being there. I knew the right time was coming soon. That made a big difference. So we'll just finish up here. I think Facebook has decided to end there, but I think in terms of lead gen questions, so just to finish up here, if you have any more questions, just ping them in here in the comments, but otherwise we'll finish up. Adam, we generate most of our sales through cold emails and social media. Yeah, I think it shouldn't be ignored, you know. Cold email, hey, I've said it before, I was part of a team that I was the kind of the lead for it, but I was a team around me that built almost £1 million business in terms of fees written and realized in healthcare. This was a headhunting business. Inside a year, we got just under £1 million, and that was all started through cold emails. We went every day, all like 5 of us went to LinkedIn, found 40 people a day, generated their emails. A lot of them we had to guess in healthcare. So it'd be big pharma businesses or, you know, medical device or things like that. And we would email them. This had a little template. We'd use the in-mail function in LinkedIn, 40 a day, all of us. It's like 200 a day every single day for a year. And you get a few little nibbles. You might some days get nothing. Some days you get 3 responses. 2 say piss off, and 1 of them says, hey, this is quite useful. Sometimes you get a call. I just saw your email. I need to talk to you about this kind of thing. We're in the business of, if you need us, let's get you thinking. We're just going to make sure we're out there so you know. So abundance is what we did. And we got a massive business from that because we made sure that our service was good, but we constantly were putting ourselves out there. And before that, of course, when I first started selling internet marketing, I was doing well north of 100 dials a day. Okay, and that's not speaking to 100 people, it's dialing. I would be spending 3, sometimes 4 hours non-stop. My phone time would be on, you know, on the phone. That's in a 6 to 8 hour day or so of being on the phone, and you know, not including lunchtime, things like that. And it was, I remember back then we didn't have software for our leads. We had no CRM. We had them written out on paper. So I'd be up to 11 o'clock at night from directories, paper directories, writing out leads I would call. And it would be like honestly, like a foot deep, right? The carbon footprint's disgusting. It's like a foot deep of paper on my desk of leads. And I would just be calling 9 o'clock through till 5:30 every day, calling. And you'd get you probably get like more like 8 managing directors or CEOs on the phone in a day, because you have to battle your way past gatekeepers, or they wouldn't be there, or voicemails, things like that. And then we'd pitch 3, maybe 4, okay? And of them, 2 would be like, oh, okay, this is quite good. And of them across the week, so like 10 good ones, 2 would convert, okay? Because they never met you, never even seen you, and you're calling them out of the blue, and you're asking for 7,000 quid for internet marketing, for banners and things like that. So it's very tough to do, but all done through cold calling, and then later on through cold email. So I'm a massive fan of that, Adam. I think it's a very strong skill to have, and if you can leverage that, because if you're good at that, you have confidence. Then you know that you can always return to it to generate more leads if you need, generate more sales if you have to. But sitting on top of that is the warmer, organic, longer play stuff, social media, like you mentioned there. Okay, so good. Actually, there's another question here from Danny Battishill. Which is better to generate leads? Influence yourself in your community as the go-to guy to help people with the issues you're skilled in, and become well known and respected in that regard, as word of mouth will quickly spread from there. Sounds pretty good. Or is it better to make your presence known online and generate a following through online means that, while may be good, will only generate temporary leads? I don't know what you mean by temporary leads. Why can't you do both? Why? I don't understand. Do both. It makes sense. If you're working in a local business, so I think Earthstone Arts, your business, Danny, is like local markets for certain types of produce. You need to be the local celebrity, as it's known. So when I was really pushing my taekwondo schools, I was known in the community because I was doing local shows and things like that, and making sure people knew about me. But I was also massively leveraging social media as well. I was pumping out stuff so that but obviously that was going to the local space, because it meant I was attacking people from the physical place, but also in their hand as well. And I loved it. Very rarely, but because there's enough people around. But you'd walk around, you'd hear someone say, I keep seeing this bloody advert about taekwondo. I'm just like, yeah, it means I'm in your face. That's good. But also, I would seed people as well. I'd make sure I was well known. I mean, it has to be both. It has to be. If you have the opportunity to, then it makes sense. So, for instance, you're never going to physically get in front of everyone in the world. You can eat into that, chunk of people out there a hell of a lot easier through online. But for example, being and just text me. Being on the stage and things like that is a great way of getting to people. I loved it. One of my favourite talks I did last year was the University of Edinburgh, when I went up and met a load of budding entrepreneurs who are they're in the Entrepreneurship Society at Edinburgh University. So I flew into Scotland and met these guys. There were only a few of them, but it was really nice because, as well as having their degrees, they were focused on building their thing. And it's interesting because you're only affecting a few people, but it felt so great. It's much more visceral to actually meet people face to face and really help them out. So I really enjoyed that. But you've got to do the online thing as well, because regardless of what you're doing, it makes sense to make a presence there. That's where people are, as well as in the physical world. So I think it makes sense to work in both. That's my response there. Thanks so much for everyone who joined in. I think I'm seeing some questions, some DMs coming through already. If you want Monetize You, the course, for half price of $48, message me or DM me what you would monetize. So what is your hobby? And then if I'm gonna award it to 5 people. You have to share this as well, so make sure you share this Q&A, and then you can win. So that's I think it's one of the most amazing things I've done. That's not a brag, it's just I'm proud of it, because real regular people have embraced it, and within the first week for some, or first week or two, definitely in the first month, people are generating new income for themselves. They're generating an income that for some was thousands of dollars, for some is at like $300 or so. But what it is that is showing them the last couple of pieces to the puzzle, because you actually have your own knowledge to leverage that thing they're doing, whatever it is, talking about football, forex trading, hairdressing, whatever it is. It's the thing that is your guilty pleasure. You know, is it computer games, whatever it is, it's been shown, you know, how to generate an income from it. So jump in there, share this, and send me a DM. What is your hobby? And 5 people I'll announce probably later, maybe tomorrow, who can win. But otherwise, it's been as always, a pleasure. Thank you. Episode 77. So this is like a year and a half's worth now. I'm really impressed with that. And everyone who sent through the questions, thank you very much. Anyone who asked on here, so Adam and Anurag, John Brooker, Sam Payne, Caradine Farley, Emma Wright, Daniel Nunez, Danny Battershill, Tofi Evans, and anyone else I've missed off. Thank you very much. Thumbs up if this has been helpful. I'd love to receive any more suggestions from you on what themes you'd like next week. For instance, branding was last week. We did lead gen this week. What other things are on your mind in 2018 for startup business growth? Yeah, get in touch. Otherwise, thank you so much. Have a massive day. All of you, love you loads. Have a great Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.